Hey everyone, today I'm joined by Meeky Hwang. Meeky is the co-founder and partner at Ndevr, which is a tech agency specializing in some technical strategy and architecture for media publishing companies. Meeky has built an incredibly successful agency. She's maintaining high profit margins while really keeping a super lean team. Ndevr has really figured out how to scale without requiring substantial overhead. So I wanted to bring Meeky on because many agency owners just assume that growth equates to hiring more full-time employees, but she is proving that that's not always the case. If you've ever wondered how to maximize profitability while staying lean, this episode is for you. In the episode, we discuss why a lean agency model can be more profitable than a large team, how to strategically use contractors to scale without adding overhead, lessons from running a technical agency with high margins, and more. No one was asking for another community, but I've made one anyway. So, what's different? The dynamic agency community is designed around access rather than content. Access to peers who've done it before, access to experts who've designed solutions, access to resources that have been battle tested. And right now, the price for founding members is only $97 a year. Join today so your agency has immediate access to everything you need to grow. You can join at dynamicagency.community. And now, Meeky Hwang. It's easier than ever to start an agency, but it's only getting harder to stand out and keep it alive. Join me as we explore the strategies agencies are using today to secure a better tomorrow. This is Agency Forward. Why did you choose to keep Ndevr lean instead of building a large team?
So lean, I think I didn't even realize we were lean, to be honest, in the beginning. So it kind of like happened more organically than we kind of planned to do it this way over the course of years. Like now that we're hitting year 10, that we started with, so we're always remote. We started back in 2015. Remote team wasn't that common, but we started remote anyway. So it was when we decided to start working with people that remote work wasn't for everyone. So we had to start with contract to hire. So we've always been contract to hire approach when onboarding anyone. So that kind of like evolved to going to just contract, because like some of them were just kind of like they wanted to stay as a contractor, because most of our contractors been with us for a long time. So they're kind of like employees, but they just decided to stay that way. And it kind of like over the course of the years, in the beginning, we did have more contract to hire. So we had more employees, but for some things, like we realized that it's a little more efficient to work with contract basis. It's like less overhead, mostly, well, cost wise too, but mostly our time, like the owner's time, because we're very hands-on. So we have, obviously with employees, there's a lot of other things that we have to do with them. So it was kind of like going that way when we got busy. So it was kind of, we're starting to use more contractors, and then COVID happened, and it kind of like, it actually worked for our benefit, because around that time we were pretty much all contractors right before it hit. And then that kind of saved us a lot of overheads in different ways. So from there, we kind of decided to stay and see if it's more efficient. And then kind of like, and we thought about changing some of the contractors to employees, but oddly, they kind of like being contractors. So
Right.
that's kind of like happened that way. So it wasn't like intentional, but it actually worked out.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
So you guys have like great margins within the business, and we don't need to get into the numbers specifically if you don't want to share any of that. But like most agencies get super excited when they hit like 20%, right? And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're crushing it." You've blown those numbers out of the water, and I'm just curious, what's like the secret? What would you say is the that one domino that kind of led to you being able to do that?
I think it's because both owners are pretty hands-on. So we were involved in a lot of the production work and client work. And that helps to kind of keep it very profitable, because we sometimes, like, if you don't you don't need a lot of big team to start a project, and then once we start, and then we can onboard a little later than you have to have all these people to start with. So like that kind of gave us a little more wiggle room to be like easier to transition into projects. And then because we're heavily involved in production, I think that's probably the main reason that we can be very profitable. Because like, and also we're both technical, so we really know what's going on. So like, if we see some of the inefficiencies, it's easy to pick up, and then we can swap it out quickly.
How many contractors do you have right now?
I think we have, let's see, about 8, but some of them are full part-time. So like we have a couple people that are kind of like part-time basis, and then just kind of like a call away to onboard to different projects because they're part-time.
Yeah, I think that on its own, like the idea that in order to be a successful agency, you need a huge team and like all these other numbers. It's like, no, you can actually find a different route. Like you have found a route where you're making great money. You're even, we can clip this later if you don't want any of the numbers share, but like when like you're making over 2 million a year as an agency and stuff, like even that number with your team size is like mind blowing to some other agencies that I work with who have very small deal sizes or looking to expand, but they struggle to get there. So it's like, I remember the first time talking to you guys, it was like, oh, wow, this is like an agency that's actually doing it, right? The things that other agencies look to do. And so, which is why having this podcast is awesome. So hopefully it's an inspiration for some people listening.
I don't know if it's the knife thing, but I actually didn't know that people, like, I thought we were just normal. And it was more when I was talking to different agencies, and then they're like under million, and they have like all these employees and structures and everyone else. Like, we're like, really? Like, what's your profit margin that you can actually have that many people just kind of laying around? Sometimes, like, like some agencies, you call it on the bench or on the beach, that there are a lot of people, if you're employees that don't have projects, they're just lying around. So I was like, what do they do? So it was more like a naive thing that I didn't know that we're that proficient or efficient in a way as an agency, because I thought that would be kind of like a typical thing to do. And I think it's because like we're very cautious of numbers and we look at it very closely. That might be also too, because we're both owners are very, very data number oriented. So like if you see something is not what we thought that would be, like in the margin level or profit level and all that stuff, and we're kind of like very quick to see, I was like, well, how can we make it better? So I don't know if that's like a thing that we unconsciously do or not, but yeah, so like it was kind of naive about that, and I was actually didn't know that we're that much more profitable than other agencies.
Yeah, there's a book that I'd read years ago called Surrounded by Idiots. And it was I jokingly told my team I was reading it for them. But I actually was reading it for them because it's like a personality test, kind of like MBTI or DISC, but they just break everyone down by colors.
Yeah.
And so, but you have like, no one's just one color. You have like combinations of colors, but the blue are like very analytical. And I started to realize, like, even within our own agency at the time, it's like we had like a couple really analytical people, like blue made up a majority of their personality, but not a lot. And then when I look at agencies, it's like when you can see the agency that has like at least one person in their like leadership team with like a lot of blue, it's so easy for them to just see like, what's the next step? Like, what do we have to do next within the business? And where they might not be as like big on actually the team leadership, like a yellow is very big on having a team and being able to like work with them and influence them and doing all that. Like that's where I'm very large in the yellow side, very low in the blue. But it's like these are like awesome combinations. But I noticed that a lot of those agency teams that are being very successful have a lot of blue within their like leadership element.
I think I took that test at one point. I think my first job, I started at Accenture. I think they made us do one of those. I think I
Yeah.
was blue, actually. I remember seeing that.
Well, there
But
you go.
I'm pretty sure that Matt's probably very blue too.
Yeah, just on what I know about you guys, I think you both have a lot of blue. It was actually a fun exercise too. I trained the team on the book, and so I made one slide with everyone on our team, and I guessed at what their color combinations were, and then I shared access to it, and they updated like their bars. I was completely off on some of them based on what they think they're. But it was that was a fun exercise. So you have you and Matt as full-time owner operators, like working with all of your clients, and then you got your contractors you can bring in. How do you maintain like a high level of value for your clients and like just make sure every deliverable, everything you're doing is, the highest level of quality you can do while you have so much other stuff going on as the owners?
That's a good question. So we try to structure in a way that that we're kind of like not really stepping over each other's toe, but we separate the projects. So he will own a couple projects, and I'll own a couple projects, and we'll intentionally make the other person be the account manager. So like anything high level that comes up, that can kind of like oversee it. So like from like a outsider's perspective in a way, even though we're kind of internal, but then we can see it from like outside that like sometimes when you're in deep into your project, you don't necessarily see a lot of things like everything. So the other person is kind of there for your kind of like a check basis, like not really like quality check, but we still have like another person kind of like standing there to kind of oversee it in a way. And that actually helps with the client too, because like when the client is working closely with one owner, like one person, like they also want someone else to kind of reach out to in case they're not happy with certain things that they don't want to talk to the direct managers. So we kind of structure it that way so that we have that for the client as well as we kind of see what's going on from like outsiders perspective. So like to kind of see whatever you can't see can be seen for other person. So that might be one of the things that we do to help make sure that projects are actually working well. And also since we're very we have experience with a lot of projects. It's like, well, between two of us, like we probably had a lot of experience with different cases. So we're also not shy to ask for help or ask for opinions. It's like we'll literally have some meetings to just kind of brainstorm certain things if there's like anything. And then we also reach out to some other colleagues if there's something that we can't really come up with. So not being shy to ask questions or asking for help is also things that we want to make sure, ensure that it's like it's not an ego thing. It's like I don't really care. Like I'm not going to know everything anyway. So it's like asking a lot of questions, also clarifying a lot, and also having a lot of conversation with the client. It actually helps to kind of figure out to make sure that we deliver what they need. So I think that helps.
Yeah. So it's probably also worth mentioning to the audience that you're not a marketing agency, right?
No.
More aligned as probably a tech agency. It's probably the good way to explain it. What are some of the misconceptions that you think people have for like running a tech agency?
So when people sometimes don't understand tech agency because we're development agencies, so they might not know the difference between like the full service agency also do design and all the other things, implementation and development. So, but we focus on development and implementation and then maintaining the technology side just intentionally because we want to make sure that we stay there and we're the experts for that section only. So we don't design, but we have some like agencies that we work with, or we work with their internal design teams to work with that. So we're agency, but we're development agency. Sometimes like people don't know that, so we kind of have to explain that we don't do the design work. And then the tech agency too, we don't outsource. So we kind of like we don't outsource to other countries or anything. So we want to make sure that we only work with the senior developer, full stack developers too, because WordPress, the entry point for WordPress development can be very low depending on how you look at it. But what we deal with is very like complex, very, very custom sites. We pretty much develop a platform. So we only work with the full stack developers. So like it's not just WordPress developer, they have to understand all the layers of what's going on. So because of that, we are very selective of who we hire. So that's another reason why we don't have a big team, because I think that one of the things that a lot of agencies, like, they outsource, they just kind of make it faster. They want to do things faster, and then there's to kind of have a lot of people, just a lot of bodies just jumping into projects, but that's not how we do it. So I think that was one of the things that we want to make sure that we don't do that. We just don't just put, because that also kind of um, makes the quality of the code pretty like muddy, because you're just adding a bunch of different people. It's like a lot of times that you don't really look at what's really built to the baseline and just patching and patching and patching. So that kind of leads to like bigger teams may not be always the good thing. It's like, sometimes smaller team works better. So I think that's one of the things that we want to make sure. And then some tech agencies have like a ginormous team. It works in different things. Like if you need to work on like a giant project with a lot of people. But so like that was one of the things that we want to make sure, that we don't have to grow huge to be a good tech agency.
Right. Well, and I don't know, like it's probably never been your bottleneck, right? For like growth within the agency, where it's like, oh, if we just had more team members, then we'd be able to grow. When it's like, well, actually, no, because we're experts in what we're doing, we can expand accounts, and we can just purely through people knowing that we are experts, they'll come to us, and you've been able to, grow a very profitable agency like just through those means. And so,
and another thing I think I probably just mentioned is like I think this is not just for the tech agencies, but like a lot of times the client doesn't know exactly what they want. So it's a lot of times that our job to explain, and then just kind of like also ask questions to understand what they need, is not what they want. So like doing a lot of that is also things that we kind of like make sure that we stay. Well, I guess it kind of goes into the circle that like why we're experts, because it's trying to identifying that correctly. Because like I know some people think as clients always right. It's like sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just need to let them know that they're maybe what they think might not be exactly what they need. So like just understanding that also kind of is one of the big thing about the tech agency, and I think agency in general. I may say,
being able to spot the patterns,
right,
I think is what defines someone as an expert. Anyone can spot the patterns, but it's like you can do it faster because you've had so many reps and just seeing the same thing. Right. And so like with the problem that your agency solves for, platform fragility, it's like you can go in and look at a publishing platform and be like, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. Right. Whereas someone else who has never touched it isn't going to have that level. A junior WordPress developer can't just pop in and be like, oh, these are all the things. It's like, no, they would just try patching those and not realize the core issue is actually this. And so, which obviously when you can solve for that now, right? How much money does a publishing company lose per like hour of their site being down? Right. It's like tens of thousands or whatever.
Yeah. I think I just recently read about that. I think there's a Splunk did a research, and they actually calculated the downtime, and it was like more than $1 billion, like for this downtime. I forgot the exact number for it, but then I was like, it's kind of like a mind blowing. I think I shared that at LinkedIn at one point, and I was like, whoa, because like I thought it would be a big number, but I didn't know it would be that big.
Right. And so when you get one of these like enterprise level, media companies, it's like they're almost able to pay for your services just with the potential money they would save if their site had gone down. And so it's like more reason to anchor to a problem. Right? That's good. In case more people need to hear that on the podcast, like you niche into the problem. There you go. So actually let's get into that a little so like you and Matt are involved in every client project. So you're also engaging with your like the client leads. And so how are you going about, like building the trust, making like doing the things to to potentially like expand those accounts to get them to want to keep working with you and doing more with you?
Mm-hmm. I think, well, first of all, you need to deliver the high quality work. Like you need to your base job right, do the base job right, and that's like the main thing. And everywhere, I think. And also, we're very transparent about the feedback. So like we don't something's wrong and weird or not right. We'll have a genuine conversation. It's like, yeah, it's not ideal, and then we'll do the tough conversation as well. So we always have like a very transparency is one of our things that we want to make sure that we're honest with them. And when we work with the team, like we became, I don't know, I think Matt too, but like we became very close to them. Like it's kind of like we're working as their team as well. So it's just like it just naturally worked that way. So we kind of like became more like a colleague than like agency or like a client relationship. So like, and that's probably one of the reasons that we were able to keep them long term. And then like very, very frequent communication, like just not just like on the work and all the other side, like they'll come to us about some other like employee things, and they'll just like ask some like other type of issues. And just, we're just kind of like very transparent, and we give honest opinions on a lot of things. So that's another thing that helps with the client relationship. And also, like when you go to different projects, there's patterns of certain things that you see as like potential issues or potential flag, and we'll kind of like communicate with them when we see it. So like sometimes it actually helped them to prevent certain things. So, and then having different experience with different clients that actually give them more insights, and they'll ask about some of the things that they want to kind of like implement that we have already done in different clients, that we can give them how it worked well and what didn't work well, so that they can actually better prepare for this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but most importantly, you need to be good at what you're doing. So that's the main thing. But secondary is just like, making sure that you're transparent with your communication and the feedback for every level.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, or just being good at what you're doing, because it's literally the first step of my coaching.
Yeah.
And for most clients, it's like we just jump ahead. Like we're good. We can see evidence of results. We know you have the competencies to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also worked with some other agencies who it's like they have things on their like services page. It's like they have no skills to be able to do. It's like, yeah, we'll help you with SEO, and it's like, but they don't actually have anyone who understands SEO. And it's like, okay, let's remove that, so that doesn't become what gets you fired, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you guys were one of the clients who you have, like, it's so clear that you're already doing all the right things, and your clients love you for it. Because I mean, you've had one client turnover ever, like, and it was
it's not full turnover either. So
so they reduced. So yeah, you haven't lost anyone. So it's like for being in business for 10 years with no churn is like, right, mind blowing. Like, I don't know another way to put it. And so
and also I think this is one of the things that we will try to be more proactive about. Is like we do get feedback from them too, because like if the project ended and then and then we kind of don't have anything for a while, and then like if after the project, we'll just ask them like, how did it work, and then anything that we could have done better, we do ask that too. And then just kind of like that feedback actually is very good, because like some of the things that sometimes like you don't really think of, I was like, oh right, oh yeah, we could have just kind of adopted that for the next one.
Again, just getting that other perspective on on the project. So I guess, how has your role changed since starting Ndevr to now?
So I think it's probably a lot of agency too, because we have co-owners, like we're doing everything. So there's no like breakdown of different things, but everyone's doing everything pretty much. But we just kind of quickly realized that's not efficient, and then the accountability just goes weird, because like you just kind of think that the other person is going to do it, and then like we realized that it was like, oh wait, like we both forgot about it. So we're pretty much wearing all the hats to kind of like realizing that Matt is good at certain things and I'm good at certain things. Like we can probably do both things anyway, but we're just like, there's certain things that he does better and certain things that I do better and I can track it better. So like we kind of like break down different tasks so that we don't both jump into things all the time. And that actually helped efficiency. So we divided the responsibilities, and then we pretty much divided the accountability for that reason. So he takes care of certain things and I take care of certain things, like breakdown. Like he will do the financial support of it. I'll take the marketing, and then like the operations. There's like we break down to further into it, but but client work is the only parts that we overlap. And then account management, because I kind of explained in the beginning the different structure we put in for that. But other than that, most of the internal stuff is divided so that we don't have to all jump into certain things. And also we just kind of make sure that we route it to the right person when we hear things like when some client comes in that's Matt's kind of involved in sales, and I'll direct it to him, and that there's like any marketing initiative kind of thing that he gets, and that he'll direct it to me. Mm-hmm. So there it's more structurized after the years of us all jumping into everything than when we started.
All right. So I want to start winding down here. Mm-hmm. But what advice do you have for agency owners that are chasing bigger mm-hmm. instead of better?
So I think it kind of goes back to you need to be good at what you're doing first. So I think being better is more important than getting bigger, because like when you grow prematurely, there's a lot of overheads and it's harder to kind of scale down. So like, and that's probably not the right way you want to go. So focus on delivering exceptional quality before chasing the growth, because I think it's more important, because like you want to make sure that you do the one thing right before you scale to like 5 different things. Mm-hmm. So bigger is not always better. Better is better. Is pretty much what I would advise too.
The quote for the episode: "Better is better." Yeah. But yeah, there are a lot of agencies that just think doing more. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't matter if you're just doing more if what you're doing is garbage, and so mm-hmm. right now you're just producing more garbage, and so yeah. Well, I got 2 more questions for you.
Yep.
First one: what book do you recommend every agency owner should read?
I think there are a bunch of books, but then I think recently that I was reading, because I was kind of like trying to understand the numbers better. So the one, like I can never memorize this because there's a long title of this. I don't know if you see it. Simple Numbers, Straight Talk, Big Profits by Greg Crabtree. This actually kind of explains what to track and what to be cautious about the number-wise. So I think I think Cody Sanchez actually, she mentioned it at one of her podcasts, and she was kind of like, she always gives this to her operator every time she gets a business. And then I've just so kind of made me curious, and reading it, it's like it makes you understand numbers a lot better, and then what you want to track to get to that number, profits and then margins and all that. So I think this is kind of like a great book to kind of read if you want to understand numbers. And it's also like when you're in business, it all comes down to numbers, revenue and even profit and all that. So understanding this is pretty important, I think.
Yeah, I have to grab a copy of that one now. Last question: where can people find you?
LinkedIn. I'm not very active in other social channels, just LinkedIn. So cheers. Me up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I just avoid all other channels. So well, awesome. Meeky, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you.
That's the show, everyone. You can leave a rating and review, or you can do something that benefits you. Click the link in the show notes to subscribe to Agency Forward on Substack. You'll get weekly content, resources, and links from around the internet to help you drive your agency forward.